Hello everyone. In this video we will discuss about how to return values from a normal functions in C++. So here I have included the program for returning values from the function. So in the previous video we have discussed about how to pass arguments to a particular function. How can we receive the values from the function? It is also possible. So let's see how to implement this concept with the help of this program. So here we have a normal program and here we have defined the function initially. We have declared the function here before the main function. So it is nothing but global declaration. So we have done outside of the main function. So it is a global declaration. So wherever in the program we can use this particular function. We can call this function. Right, so it has one argument which is of type float and we didn't mention what is argument name, so it is not necessary to mention the argument name also. If you mention, no problem. And here we have the main function. So in the main function we have declared two variables which is of type float. Cout enter your weight in pounds. This particular statement will be displayed in the output screen as it is. So using cin operator we are just getting the input for this variable from the user. So during the execution of this program, you will be getting the value for this variable from the user. And it is of type float value. So next one is we are going to calculate the kilogram value by calling this function. By calling this function and also by passing the value of this variable while invoking this function. So that is what the statement. This is actually function calling statement. So we are just calling that function and whatever the value you are just receiving from that function will be assigned to this variable kgs. Can you able to understand? So this statement represents, it is a function calling statement and also it has one argument. So we need to pass value to that argument. And this value whatever we are receiving from that function will be assigned to this variable kgs. And in the next statement you are going to display the value of the kgs. Before that you are just displaying this output statement, that is your weight in kilogram is, and followed by, so you are just displaying the value of the variable followed by the endl operator, return 0. So because we are not going to return anything from the main function, so here instead of int main, so we can also include void main because void does not have return type. So if you don't return any value from any of the function, you can give its return type as void. And next we have the function definition here, float, and that particular same function name, and it holds one argument. So you are just defining what is the type of the argument and what is the name of the argument. So here we cannot call it as argument, it is a parameters. Right, and now here we are just calculating the value of a kilograms. Calculating the value of a kilogram. This particular variable is not equal to the main function variable. So in the main function also we have one more variable, that is kgs, but it is not equal to this variable because it is local to this function. We have declared this variable only inside the function. So in the main function we cannot access this variable. And in the same way, whatever the function we have declared in the main function, we cannot access it inside this user defined function. So we are defining one specific variable here and we are calculating what could be the value of kilograms. We are just multiplying this value with the pounds value. Pounds value, which means whatever the value you are just receiving while calling this function. And that value is nothing but whatever the value you got from the user while executing this program, that same value you are just passing over here while invoking this function. So that value will be substituted here, which means copied into this variable, and it will multiply with this value, and whatever the result you are getting, that will be stored in this variable called kilograms. And in the next statement we are returning that variable value. So here we have the statement return. Whenever you want to return any value from the user defined function, then you need to use the keyword return. Return kilograms. Where it will return? Simply where we called that function. So here we have called that function. So to this statement, the value of that function will be returned here and it will assign to this variable kgs. So whatever the value you have assigned, so that will be displayed as it is. So that is what the output you will be getting. Suppose if you give it as 10, for pounds. Okay, so it will multiply with the 10, and whatever the result you are getting, so that will be passed over here, I mean returned here, and that will be assigned to this variable, and finally we are displaying the value of that variable. So whatever the result you are after multiplying you are getting, so that will be displayed over here. That is what the output for this program. So this is how we are returning values from the user defined function. And the next one is, in the same program we can also have more number of functions which has the same name. That is also possible. Different number of arguments. So you have the same function but different number of arguments. So how the compiler can differentiate the function which has the same name? Only with the help of the number of arguments it has. Okay, so here we have three functions which has the same name, but the first function we have declared without arguments, and the second function has one argument, and the third function has two arguments. All these also to be function declaration statement. So we have started with this main function here, and in the very first statement we have called this function. So what is the name of this function which does not have any arguments? It is a simple function. This will be invoked. So here we have that particular function definition. So this will be invoked. So from here control will be transferred to this function definition, and all these statements will be executed. Here we have only two statements, one for loop, and inside that cout asterisk, which means that asterisk will be displayed for 45 times. Okay, and now in the next statement we are just invoking the next function which has one argument. The function which has the same name but it has one argument, so that particular function will be invoked here. So it will transfer to this function body, and these two statements will be executed. So here also we have one for loop, and whatever the value which we are passing for that argument, ch value, which is nothing but equal to sign, so that value will be displayed here for 45 times. And next one we are invoking another function which has two arguments, which is nothing but plus and 30. Those two argument value will be passed over here, so it will be copied into this parameter ch and n. And for n times, so what could be the value of n? That is nothing but 30. So for 30 times that ch value, which is nothing but plus here, so plus will be displayed for 30 times. So here for this statement asterisk will be displayed for 45 times, and for this statement equal to sign will be displayed for 45 times, and for this statement plus will be displayed for 30 times. So this is what the output of this program. Okay, so here how we define the same function name, but how it differs with each other based on the number of arguments what it has. We can also define the same number of arguments for two functions which has the same name. That is also possible, but it may differ with the type of the argument. So which means here also if you include one more argument as int, that is also possible. But it should differ with the type of the argument, but it has the same type of the arguments, which is not possible. Okay, so here if you have int and if you have char, so then it will be differentiated. So both are said to be different function because the type of argument is different here. So in that way compiler can understand these are said to be different function. Okay, so how we differ the same name of the function with number and the type of arguments. Thank you.